Here's a call.
Won't you listen to reason? Will you open your eyes? It's a wonder what you'll find with an open mind. You may be surprised. Yeah, gotta get away from this illusion for the sake of the world. This delusion. It's gotta
Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Atheist Experience. I am your host, Russell Glasser, and with me today is Jen Peoples.
Feels like I was just here.
Wow, that's strange. Today is Sunday, March 11th, 2012. We are a live call-in public access television show based in Austin, Texas, dedicated to promoting positive atheism and the separation of church and state. We are also available through live streaming video at ustream.tv. The official Atheist Experience website is www.atheist-experience.com. The Atheist Experience is hosted by or sponsored by the Atheist Community of Austin, a nonprofit organization which you can find at www.atheist-community.org. You can also provide feedback by commenting on the official show blog at freethoughtblogs.com/AXP or email us at tv@atheist-community.org. Check out our other regular shows, The Nonprofits and Godless Bitches, two audio-only podcasts, which are now back in business, guys. There was a new Godless Bitches last week with Jen, Tracy, and Beth, and there was a new Nonprofits yesterday with me, Matt, and Schilling. And so check those out. Also, I would like to mention that I've been working on upgrading the software for Iron Chariot's wiki, and the forums and the wiki are both back online now. And if you haven't checked those out, what are you waiting for? That's like a one-stop shop to find out all the answers to your questions about counter-apologetics. So ironchariots.org. And if you enjoyed the show today, please come join us after the show for dinner. You might have a hard time navigating downtown when South by Southwest, a very popular festival in Austin, is going on, but check out El Arroyo, 1624 West 5th Street. Leave early.
Absolutely. Oh, and I should mention that all ACA memberships expire at the end of February, so if you are an ACA member, your membership dues are now due.
Yep.
So.
And I'm hosting, but I'm not a member. So
you get a short grace period. So.
Right. Do you want to go into some email stuff before we take calls, or do you want to just roll the dice?
Why don't I go ahead and do an email real quick while we're waiting for some calls to queue up.
Okay.
We probably have a little bit of a lag time here because we had a time change here, so it might be that people takes a few minutes for them to realize we had a time change.
Right. Spring forward, folks.
So we get email from time to time asking for our opinion on different things. One of the ones that came in was basically, what do we do? How do we feel about people's personal beliefs for something like blood transfusions? So people have personal beliefs or religious beliefs that say you can't have a blood transfusion.
That's somebody who hasn't been watching the show very long.
Right.
Or you.
Yeah. Yeah. And so my personal view on that is that if you're an adult and you're making an informed decision to refuse a blood transfusion or any other kind of medical intervention, you're within your right to do that. If you are a parent and you're making that decision on behalf of a child, then there's a problem if you're refusing life-saving treatment for a child. And I think we've had a number of court cases that...
Right. This isn't a situation where the medical science is ambiguous on
Right.
whether a blood transfusion helps or hurts. This is a situation where you're refusing to do something that a doctor says is medically necessary.
Right. Right. So, yeah, I think we all have a problem with that. And we've had a couple of recent court cases that involve parents who chose to pray for their children instead of take them to a doctor and get the $5 worth of antibiotics that it would take to cure an acute infection, and then the child subsequently died, the parents then face charges. And I know that in at least a couple of those cases they were convicted, and rightfully so. You should not be able to use your personal beliefs to basically engage in medical neglect of your child.
Right. I mean, as far as we're concerned, it's as bad as just deciding that your child is now a breatharian, doesn't need to eat.
Yeah.
That would be, negligent homicide, and basically so is this.
Yeah. And on that note, we also got another email asking, if since we're in this doing this show, and that we may at some point be responsible for someone losing their religious beliefs, and since some people say they get some kind of comfort or other benefit from their religious beliefs, don't we feel bad about depriving them of that? And my answer to that is no. I don't feel bad about depriving people of false beliefs. And people often cite the hope that people get from religion, or the comfort, or whatever. And so my analogy for that is when I was a little kid and I was first learning to ride a bike, I got tremendous comfort from my training wheels. And of course, unlike a God, they actually provided a tangible benefit. They kept me from falling over. But at some point, I didn't need the training wheels, but I still thought I did. So one day when I got a new bike, there were no training wheels on them. And my dad said, I will run along behind you and I'll keep my hand on the seat. I won't let you fall over. And so I agreed to that. And I was very comforted knowing that my dad had his hand on the seat and was not going to let me fall over. And I remember the first time I was riding along, and I happened to glance back and notice that my dad wasn't holding the seat anymore. Okay.
Standard technique there, though.
Yeah. At no time did I feel like I had lost something. Okay. The realization that I could do this for myself was not something I felt that my dad had taken away from me. He had in fact given me something. And so we get email from people all the time who, having lost the baggage of their religion, they don't email us saying, damn you, now I have no hope. It's always, thank you, for taking this veil away from my eyes, for helping me,
But they do write when they're not losing their religion in fear for, let's say, other people, saying,
right.
What are you going to give them in your place? It reminds me of a lot of email I used to get about Amway, which I think is a scam, and have a web page saying so. And people would write to me and say, oh, okay, so if Amway's not good, how are you going to make me rich?
Yeah.
She said, well, for starters, I'm going to save you all that money you would have blown on Amway.
Yeah.
Same kind of thing with religion. We're not promising to offer people ultimate answers to all the questions in the universe and give their lives hope and meaning. But what we are doing is pointing out that some of the stuff that is possibly false and even harmful in many cases is not something they should be following.
Right.
And moving away from something negative is a good step.
Yeah. And really, you're more than capable of deciding your own meaning and purpose in life. You don't need to attach that to something that's probably non-existent. So, do we want to go to calls?
Yeah, we're going to start today with, I'm not sure if I'm get this right, but I think it's Samir in
yes,
the UK. Okay.
Hello there. I'm a theist from the Muslim faith. I'm a theist from a Muslim faith, and I'm calling from the UK.
Right. What kind of theist? And
what kind of theist?
Yeah, turn down the audio stream. Turn down the audio stream that you're listening to us on, because you can still hear us on the phone now.
It's on mute.
Okay. All right.
Okay, great.
Okay. Yeah, I'm calling from the UK. I'm a Muslim from the theist faith. Okay. One more. Just got to say, I'm calling from with a Telcom card, and they're said not to be reliable, so it might cut off in the middle of our, speech. So if it does cut off, I apologize from now.
Okay, so do we.
Okay, so okay, I'm just going to start off by saying, but yeah, I want to debate with you on the existence of Allah, of the existence of God. And before I start, I just want to say, me as a Muslim, I gotta say that I confirm to you that there is no evidence that supports the existence of Allah. There is no evidence that supports
Well, that
the
makes things
existence
easy.
Yeah.
of God.
So,
Why?
so on what
Because-
basis do you believe it?
Sorry?
On what do you base your belief?
Just a second. So there is no evidence. Why do I think that? It's
No,
because-
not why do you think there is no evidence, because we agree with you, obviously. You said stuff that where we're both in agreement. The question is, why would you believe something when you've got no evidence for it?
Exactly, but I say that there is no evidence because if there truly was evidence, there wouldn't really be a point in faith. There wouldn't really be a point in belief. There wouldn't be a point in hell or heaven. Okay, because if there was truly evidence, then God might as well just come down and reveal Himself. There's no point. And that's the point of that's the point on life. That's the point in test. Well, that's what I believe.
So I'm
So, yeah,
wondering,
this
I'm wondering, do you think God would be bothered by all the Christians in the world? I mean, they're also saying that their point of view is based on faith. So what distinguishes your faith from theirs?
Sorry. So you're trying to say would Christians bother God?
Yeah, because I mean, here's all these people who also believe stuff on faith, but they're believing the wrong thing, wouldn't you say? I mean, Allah had no son, right?
No, He has no son. He doesn't book it. No, has He?
So what would you say to a Christian who says, my God has Jesus as a son, and I want you to believe that on faith, and I can't give you evidence for Jesus because that would deny faith? What would you think about a guy who says that?
Well, I believe in Jesus. He's part.
But you don't believe Jesus is the Son of God, and no one gets to the Father except through Jesus.
No, we don't really. We don't believe He's the Son of God, but we believe He's a follower. He's a prophet of Allah.
So what would you say to a Christian who's making the mistake of thinking that Jesus has this special place in divinity?
Well, there's a whole other debate on that. But quickly, I'll actually say, well, it contradicts itself because the Bible is based on believing
But
in
that's
one
where
God,
faith comes
right?
in, right?
Yeah.
Right?
That's where faith comes in, right? You just have to have faith that stuff is true, even if it doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
I know, but exactly. But you can't prove His existence, but you can prove Him logically. You can prove Him with reasoning. If you actually take the Bible into consideration, if you say that Jesus is the Son of God, the Bible contradicts itself. It doesn't make sense because the Bible believes that there is one God. They believe that Jesus is God. They believe that God is God. And as far as I'm concerned, I think they believe that the Holy Ghost, the Holy Spirit, is God as well. That's three gods. I mean, make up your mind. You either believe in one God or you believe in three gods. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
But they believe that based on faith.
And there's a lot of factors. I mean, a God wouldn't die in the first place. I mean, Jesus died.
How do you
A
know?
God doesn't die.
Yeah. How do you know
How
that?
do you know that?
Because it's the concept of God, what we're speaking of. It's like saying...
Well, I mean,
yeah,
obviously you and a Christian have slightly different concepts of God, but how am I supposed to know which one of you has got the right one except by you just saying, well, they're wrong?
Well, this is this is Christian and this is Islam. There's a whole other debate, but what you're saying is, why should I believe yours and why shouldn't I believe Christianity?
Well,
the Christian God?
do you think that the Christian God and the Muslim God are the same God?
No, probably definitely not, because our God doesn't forget, but the Christian God.
Well, I guess you're at odds with some Islamic scholars then.
Well, some, but not all.
Yeah, not all, but...
Sorry?
But I mean, the reason I brought this up is not to take this on a tangent, but because you're starting this conversation by saying that I haven't got any evidence, I haven't got anything that could be considered, let's say, scientific, but I do think, but you're saying that we should take this on faith. And my problem with that is that if I resolve to take something on faith, then I could just believe anything. Right? I could just believe. I mean, you know, I could just pull. You know, we were born out of a giant sea slug, and that's my faith, and nothing contradicts it. So, what is it that makes you decide specifically that the Muslim God has got to exist, and all these other religions are wrong?
Because it logically makes sense for me. I mean, you can't physically
wouldn't
prove it.
That rely on evidence if we're talking about logic?
Sorry?
Wouldn't that rely on evidence if you were talking about logic?
Yeah, but no, I'm talking about evidence, but not physical evidence, not evidence that you can see. We're talking about logical evidence. I mean, for example, if you take the math equation 2 plus 2 equals 4, you can't prove that with evidence, but we just know it's right because it's logically right.
You can
so this
demonstrate
is what I'm trying to
it.
say. I don't believe in Allah, and I don't believe in God because there is evidence for him. It's just logical. That's what I'm trying to say. You can prove him logically, but you can't prove him physically. And I'm telling you that it's impossible to prove him physically. It's all about logical thinking and logical reasoning.
So then I wouldn't be crazy to just dismiss the whole shebang and say that the God doesn't exist, right?
No,
I mean,
you wouldn't be crazy. Of course not.
Okay.
Definitely not. Because if you don't, what? Sorry.
Okay, go on.
Oh yeah, because it's just, I mean, it's your opinion, obviously, but you think differently. But yeah, that moves me on to my next question. You say that we do need to prove its existence, right?
I would say that it's
said,
not particularly reasonable to jump to a conclusion without having a good reason to do it.
Sorry, say again?
I would say that it's not reasonable to jump to a conclusion without having a good reason to make that assumption. And that's why I say that there's no point in believing in God if there's no evidence for it.
I think I have very good reasons to believe it. I think you have fewer reasons to not believe in God than to do believe in God, and that's my personal view.
So we're not talking about faith then, after all. You started this with faith, but actually you're saying...
Well, it depends on your definition of faith.
What?
How would you define faith?
Belief without evidence.
Sure.
Belief
without evidence.
Exactly, belief without evidence.
Okay.
Evidence, physical evidence, or are we talking about logical evidence?
Well, what other kind of evidence is there?
Yeah, can you give me an example of the logical evidence?
Like I said, 2 plus 2 equals 4.
I know 2 plus 2 equals 4. How do you get from that to an omnipotent, all-powerful, omniscient being who created the universe?
I think. So sorry. Can you say that again, please?
Where's the? I mean, we feel justified in saying that 2 plus 2 is 4 because we can demonstrate it in a lot of ways. I mean, a lot of that hinges around the concepts that we describe as 2 and 4.
Okay, then I'll use another example. Say if you I say to you, we as a human population, we accept that every multiple of 5, the ending digit is always either 5 or 0.
Right, that's induction.
You can't demonstrate that, but it logically makes sense. You can't
demonstrate
every single number because there's an infinite amount. Because you don't know, maybe 3,374,000,000,000, you know, so on and on. The last digit might be 2, but it might be a multiple of 5. You can't actually demonstrate that, but we believe.
We don't just believe stuff in math. I mean, there are actually formal processes that have been worked out that work, like logical induction. But none of those.
Okay, but it's not. That's not physical. That's not evidence. It's logical. It makes sense when you look at it. It does make sense.
But that doesn't get you to a God.
So yeah, well, I look at it differently. I think it's logical. It's logical. God makes
why?
logical sense.
How does 2 + 2 = 4 get you to a God?
I mean, if I said 2 + 2 wasn't, if I said 2 + 2 was 5, then you'd think I was crazy. But a minute ago, you said I wasn't crazy for rejecting belief in God. So they must be different types of things in your mind.
Sorry, what do you mean? I'm not following you.
Well, I asked. Okay, if I said 2 + 2 is actually 5, you would probably think I'm crazy, right?
Yes.
But a minute ago you said, I asked if I thought God doesn't exist, I wouldn't be crazy. So this isn't the same kind of sweeping error, not believing in a God, that just denying the basic rules of math is.
I brought up the example of 2 + 2 = 4 to explain to you how you can prove something logically. You can't prove that with physical evidence.
Sure. So can you prove God just as well?
No. No. Well, to you, I think to me I can. Or the other, I can't. But to you, I don't think I can. That's why I want to bring up. Develop the question and try to reverse it.
Well, that would be a weird way of doing math if you thought that worked the same way. I mean, would you feel comfortable saying to somebody, well, I was brought up believing 2 + 2 is 4, but, you know, for you it may be 5 or 23.
Again, I'll repeat it. The only reason I got the 2 + 2 = 4 example is to show you how you can logically prove something, and it doesn't have to be with physical evidence.
But
you don't have to relate it to God. I don't have to relate it to God. But the only reason I brought it up is to show you that you can logically prove something without physical evidence. That's the only reason I brought it up.
Okay.
Okay, so math is abstract and science stuff is not. Which category is God in? Is God a thing that exists in the real world, or is God an abstract philosophical concept?
God doesn't exist. God exists. Yes, I tell you what I believe. God exists.
So you believe in a God that exists and has some impact on the physical world?
In what way?
Well,
we assume. I mean, if he doesn't actually do anything, then there's also not much point in believing him.
Yeah. Does your God do anything?
Yes, he does. I mean, he obviously created the...
If he does something in the physical world, then that becomes a testable hypothesis, and there should be evidence to demonstrate that this God exists and that it does something in the physical world. So where's your evidence?
Okay, look, okay. When I talk about logically, I'm talking about...
No. We're not talking about a logical question here. You just made a claim that your God exists and he has some impact on the physical world. Is that correct?
Yes.
If that is true, then that God should leave evidence. There should be evidence.
He shouldn't leave evidence. He does it without leaving evidence. That's my point.
That is insane.
If he does leave evidence, he might as well come and show himself.
What other facts about the physical, non-abstract world do we accept with no evidence whatsoever?
None, probably.
That's my
correct.
point.
Well, we don't actually have a reason to believe in anything else. I mean, if you bring up dragons, why do we believe in dragons? Well, I don't have a reason to believe in dragons.
And so we don't. That's why.
Yes, but we
believe in dinosaurs, but that's because there are physical artifacts that demonstrate that there were dinosaurs. Somebody who believed in dinosaurs before they dug up all those bones would be just leaping to conclusions and making stuff up.
Yes,
even if they happen to be right.
It wouldn't be, I mean, okay, look, if say dinosaurs existed, I mean, personally, I wouldn't care whether dinosaurs existed or not. I don't have a reason to believe if dinosaurs existed or not. So,
but I can show you
before we found the evidence, of course. So I don't really have a reason to believe, say, in dragons. But I do have a reason to believe in God.
Okay, so what's that reason?
I think we all have a reason to believe in God, but we don't believe in him because there is no evidence supporting his existence.
So what reason is it, then, if it's not evidence?
What reason? Well, of course, the creation of the universe. You know, nothing coming from something can't come from nothing. You know, that's like the first example. Or that everything would make sense. That everything wouldn't make sense without God being there. For example, evolution, stuff like that. You know.
No,
I think
no.
everyone should have has reason to believe in God.
Why don't we encourage Samir to call back next week, because there's another caller on the line that may be able to move forward with the same line of reasoning.
Yeah.
Another theist who wants to talk about the origin of the universe, so that might be a good segue.
Yeah. In the meantime, you should look up Lawrence Krauss's video, A Universe from Nothing.
Sorry, can you spell my name?
Look up Lawrence Krauss's video, A Universe from Nothing, and watch that.
And if you want more time to lay this stuff out, then email tv@atheist-community.org after the show, and try calling in next week.
So I can't get into my next question, or?
We've taken a lot of time on this, and we don't want to monopolize the whole show, but you are welcome to call in again.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thanks for calling, Samir.
Thank you.
Okay, so next is Silva in Fairfield, California. Hey, Silva.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Were you listening to that last call?
Yes, I was. I actually came in about halfway through it. I actually wasn't really sure what he was actually trying to say necessarily.
Well, he's a Muslim, and he believed that that there was good reason but no evidence to believe in God. So I don't know if you're going to agree with that or not.
Well, see, it depends what you guys consider evidence. Like, for instance, do you think a logical argument could prove that God exists?
No.
I think we might as well have kept talking to Samir.
Yeah. No.
I'm sorry.
What kind of evidence are you guys looking for then?
Well, first of all, if you're going to argue for a God, the question I have for you is, does this God have any impact on the physical world?
Let's see.
Like, I mean, does he answer prayers and stuff, for instance?
See, that's the thing. He doesn't necessarily have to.
But does he?
Like, for instance, you know, Jesus rising from the dead, and afterlife, all those questions are almost irrelevant. It's the fact of the matter if God exists.
Okay.
If God exists, we don't have to go anywhere after we die or anything like that.
Well, no, I'm not asking that. I'm saying if you're asserting that this God exists, what does this God do?
He's created the universe. He's created everything that exists for his own purpose.
And where is the evidence for that?
The evidence that he created the universe.
Sure.
Such as anything that begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist, therefore the universe has a cause.
Yes, we know what Kalam cosmological argument
is. Yes, I realize that you guys do. So now we got to figure out what could that cause be.
What?
And that's what we attribute to be God. For instance, since the universe is space, time, and, you know, material things and all that good stuff, that is what God is not. So basically, since God created space and time, he is not bounded by space and time.
So when you say universe, you mean the specific universe that we live in now that started to exist with the Big Bang, and disregarding all possible metaverses or parallel universes or anything we might dream up like that. You're just talking about this universe here.
Well, no, I'm saying anything that begins to exist, period. You can't say that, you know, the universe has always existed, meaning in some form or another.
I'm just trying to clarify what you mean by universe, because there is more than one meaning of universe. Like in math,
it could be a multiverse, or,
universe means the set of all possible things, right? In math, a universe is the set of all possible things, or the set of things under discussion. And we don't know that that began to exist. We just know that this universe began with the Big Bang.
Okay, well, you can't have an infinite number of past events.
Okay, so what can you have?
Somewhere. You see, you can't just keep going back, and back, and back.
I don't actually know that.
Yeah. Yeah, how would you demonstrate that?
You don't know that.
How would you
Yeah, not
demonstrate
really.
that?
Okay, well, let's say I have let's say I have an infinite number of coins to begin with, right?
Okay,
If I give
obviously
away
you don't
3
have
of
that in
those-
this universe.
Yeah.
Huh?
Obviously you don't have that in this universe, but let's say that you have a wormhole to some infinite subspace somewhere. You've got an infinite number of coins, sure.
Okay, since you have an infinite number going, how would you ever get to the next point? It would always be in a neutral state.
That's kind of like asking, if I'm at 3, how can I count to 4? Because
Yeah.
the numbers are infinite. You
Okay,
can
I'm
still
saying-
do that.
I'm saying they're not individual numbers here. When you speak of infinite, you don't speak of actual individual numbers. It's more of a collection of an entirety of things.
Right?
Okay.
But an infinity is still made up of individual things.
Yeah, but you don't get to infinity by counting one by one. And that's
Well,
why
I mean,
said
if you
can't-
count an
can't
infinite
say
amount of
number
time, you
counts
do.
as n.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about like abstract mathematical stuff again, and not about things that actually happen in the universe.
Well, I'm saying, okay. Basically, I'm saying the universe began to exist. Are you disagreeing with that point?
As far as this particular
Yeah.
universe beginning to exist with the Big Bang, and not knowing if the matter what the matter was doing before the Big Bang, conditionally, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying that matter has always existed then?
Not necessarily. I don't know.
We don't know.
See, I mean, here's the thing that's going to happen with the Kalam is that you're going to say God, that God, if you don't mind me skipping to the end of your argument,
Yeah, okay.
you're going to say that God didn't begin to exist, and therefore God is in this special category where only this thing that is like your God can defy these rules that you've said apply to everything else.
Well, it's not necessarily special pleading, though, because the universe is in time.
That's true. This
So, of
universe
course
is.
So, of course, he didn't begin to exist because he's outside of time.
That's special pleading.
Right. So basically, it doesn't have to be a God. It could be anything outside of time. It could be a ham and cheese sandwich outside of time that
Yeah.
never began to exist.
But a ham and cheese sandwich is a physical thing, though.
So
So your God is not a physical thing. Huh?
No, it's not. It's a mind.
can
And you
your
know
go-
this because?
Huh?
You know that it's a mind because?
Well, that's another thing. It can't. If it's if it's not a physical thing, what else? It has to be something that's immaterial.
Why?
Okay. Okay. Name me something then that is non-physical. What I mean, what
Can
else?
you name me
what else would it
something
be?
that is a God?
Yeah.
Huh?
Can you name me something that is a God? Can you point to a specific thing that we've observed that is godlike in any way?
No.
So if you're going to try to argue based on only things that we observe,
Well,
we
that's
can
not
say
what we
things
can go
about?
on is what we observe, and I'm saying the universe, as we know, has begun to exist.
Sure, as we
There
know.
has to be a cause of its existence.
Well, no, there doesn't have to be.
There doesn't have to be.
No.
I mean, out of nothing, nothing comes.
You already agree that some things exist without a cause, specifically God. So the rule that you're trying to make apply to everything isn't universal.
The only reason why I'm saying that he exists without a cause is because he's timeless. So there is no time
But-
for there to be a cause to cause him.
But you've never actually seen a timeless thing, and so you can't really say that this is something that even makes sense.
Okay, I've never seen a timeless thing because I myself am in time because I'm in the universe. The universe is space and time.
So how do you
Okay.
know that we're not part of a metaverse that has always existed?
You said what?
How do you know that we're not part of a metaverse that has always existed? Like, have you ever read all the C.S. Lewis books?
No, I have not.
There's one, there was a prequel to The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe where he has this cool sort of fantasy world where the Earth is actually sort of, there's like this gateway universe where little universes like the Earth and Narnia are being created. I'm sorry, I'm going off on a huge tangent. This is not going to help. But I mean, it's a good story. The Magician's Nephew, that's the one.
Okay,
For a kid's
I've
book.
heard of that though.
But what I'm saying is that just because we don't know a thing doesn't give us license to just make up any notion that we want to and attach the label God to it, because God is also one of those things that you really don't know about.
Put to it? I mean, when you start going to a timeless, changeless, immaterial creator of the universe, what other word would you put to that?
Well, does it have intelligence?
If I'm trying to describe that to you, that's the only word I know to put to that.
Does it have
saying the properties of it?
Does it have intelligence?
Does it have intelligence? What do you define as intelligence? I would assume yes.
You would assume yes. How do you know? How did that come into the definition of timeless? I mean, you wouldn't be satisfied with an unintelligent God, right? The reason my ham and cheese sandwich example sounded dumb is because ham and cheese sandwiches don't have, like, you know, agency.
Yeah.
But I mean, the logic that you're doing, even if it winds up working, can only take us to a place where there's got to be something or other that isn't physical or isn't in this universe, and as long as it's been around forever, even if it's a sandwich, then that satisfies your conditions.
Okay, earlier you spoke of the metaverse and, you know, there being multiple universes and things like that.
It's a hypothesis.
Yeah.
You can't just keep on going back to all these different events that occur.
Why not?
How would you ever get to the next event? If it never began, how would you never get to the next one?
By counting?
Yeah.
Where would you start at?
There's no starting at something has no meaning in infinity.
Yeah.
Exactly. So how would you... Exactly, there's no reason for it.
So
Infinity leads to logical contradictions. I mean, what's infinity minus infinity?
infinity.
Exactly. What's infinity minus 3 or plus 2? You still get the same number.
Infinity, but that's because infinity isn't a specific number. It also is a concept that we sort of use to describe something. I mean, sort of a set of somethings.
Exactly.
Is this God of yours infinite?
Huh?
Is this God of yours infinite?
How would I say that? Well, he's timeless. So, in a sense, you can say that, but he's timeless.
Sort of around for an infinity of time, you could say.
Exactly, because he's just always been.
So you don't really believe that things can't go back forever?
You said what?
You don't really believe that things can go back forever?
That they can't go back forever. Yeah.
I don't believe that they can't go back forever.
Yeah, you believe your God can go back forever.
Just because you said God can break these rules that you've got.
Yeah.
Well, yes, because he's personal, meaning he can choose to, in their end time when he chose to create the universe.
Okay.
Exactly. It's not really that, you know.
How do you know what choices this God made when he chose to create the universe?
It's more of just you know, going on the evidence, pretty much. I mean,
well, what evidence do you have that your God made a choice about anything?
Because if he's timeless, and then
no, that's just, you know, the timeless doesn't get you to that he made a choice.
Well, how would he step out of timelessness then if he didn't make a choice to step out of it?
Huh?
What?
If he didn't make a choice to step out of timelessness to enter in time, meaning to create something, rather than it being just him as one thing, what would you call that?
Still not following you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going on the presupposition that he created the universe. So let's say that's true, and you're saying, how do I know that he made a choice to create the universe?
How do you
If he's timeless and then creates the universe, he had made a choice to create it.
Well, I mean, if we're going with presuppositions, you can say anything you want. I mean,
Yeah.
No, I'm saying
that's
you just
a
asked me how do I
circular.
know, and I'm saying that's what I'm going off of.
Well,
That's how I would,
But she didn't
that's how I
ask
would
you to
know.
make a presupposition. You seem to think you know stuff about God. I'm sorry.
I mean, well, no, I mean, you're assuming that assuming that your God exists, you're assuming that the creation of the universe was a choice. What if he just had gas or something?
See, now you guys are just playing around with it, putting stuff that, you know.
No, I'm trying to get you to make a coherent argument here, because you've chosen to advance an argument that really relies on some logical fallacies. I mean, one of which is special pleading. Everything has to follow these rules except your God, who is exempt
Okay,
from
you're
it.
saying it's set, but I'm saying if something created time, it is timeless. I mean, that's just how that goes.
And where is your evidence that something created time?
Because the universe began to exist.
Okay,
And the
so
universe is space and time. That's what I'm going on.
But you haven't
you guys
ruled
brought
out
the
that
metaphors,
it's-
you know, saying that there's a multitude of, you know.
how
You haven't given us a reason to think it's a god and not like C.S. Lewis's Magic Forest or a ham sandwich.
Okay, well, it couldn't be a physical entity because the universe has physical things in it.
It's a metaphysical ham sandwich.
yeah.
Oh, really?
It-
Well, you guys can put any word you want to it. You know, I mean, that's. I'm just saying that thing exists. You guys can put any words. You could say it's I don't know, an elephant or something. You could put any word you want to it, a metaphysical one. You know, it doesn't really
Okay.
make any difference.
So it's not necessarily true that an intelligence created the universe. Just something that's timeless.
Something that's
According to
timeless,
you.
changeless, and immaterial.
I'm not sure how you got to those things, but
No.
well, or at least
Well, it would have to be
changeless.
immaterial because it has to be outside of the universe. In the universe, we have physical things.
It could be in another universe, though.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what created that universe then? How did that universe get there? I mean, how do you guys explain these
Well,
things?
you already
Well-
think that infinite things exist, so I don't see why this is any different. Like with the last caller, I think I'm going to ask you to email or call in again next week because we have other calls lined up. But it's been an interesting call. Do you want to get a last thing in?
I'll just call back next week, guys. It's cool.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks for
Thank you.
calling, Silva. All right. So there's Nick in Philadelphia.
Hi, Nick.
Hello, how are you doing? This is my first call, so I'm kind of nervous, but it's a
Okay.
real simple
Chill.
question.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Can
Yeah.
you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, on your show, I've heard you guys say, and I could be wrong with quoting you guys, that knowledge is a subset of belief.
Yes.
Okay? And I've also heard Aaron Ross say in one of his videos, who I like very much, I like all you guys, that belief is a conviction. Okay? Now, my question is simply, if I were to say that I believe that there are aliens in this universe, meaning not aliens that have come to Earth, but just aliens somewhere in the universe, I don't know that, okay?
Right.
Okay.
But really, I really feel strongly about that. But if somebody were to say that they believe in God, they don't know that either. But for some reason, it seems to me, just arguing on the, playing theist advocate, that they would that argument. Do you see what I'm getting at? I'm trying to get a clarification why it is that you guys might say that if they believe something that they kind of know it's true and they're just asserting that belief. Do you see what I'm getting at? I'm just asking for a clarification as to the use of the words that you guys have used before.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't say it's true, but do you want to?
Well, I mean, when you say that you believe something, it doesn't mean that you don't have any reason. A lot of people have beliefs based on faulty information. A lot of people form beliefs based on, personal experiences. So there could be a lot of things that are informing a belief in something. Now, in order to get from belief to knowledge, you know, it takes more information, more evidence, at least for most people, to claim knowledge of something. So,
let me put it this way. A lot of philosophers talk about about knowledge as being justified true belief.
Okay.
So, for instance, I believe that 2 + 2 = 4, and in fact, 2 + 2 does equal 4, and I have good reason to believe 2 + 2 = 4. Now, that's that's a mathematical concept. When you enter things that have like a physicality, like I believe that Muhammad the cow is in front of me right now. I believe that Muhammad the cow is in front of me right now. I think we could probably agree that it's true that Muhammad is in front of me. And I have the evidence of my senses that's telling me that Muhammad is in front of me.
Yeah, of course.
But dealing with
as far as any reasonable sense of knowledge, we know that cow exists in front of you.
Right, but dealing with scientific facts, I mean, you know, the one favorite example is Maxwell's demon, or to put it in more familiar terms, maybe we're all in the Matrix. Maybe the cow is actually a product of an elaborate virtual reality, and there's no cow in front of me. In that case, it would turn out that I didn't actually know that Muhammad was in front of me. There's always that tiny 0.00001% room for doubt somewhere. A lot of times when we talk about people knowing things, we say it colloquially, like we know that mass and energy can neither be created or destroyed, because that is one of the best confirmed scientific laws that we've discovered. It could still, with very, very tiny probability, turn out to be wrong, but we're pretty sure that we know that it's true. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I want to clarify my question a little bit, because it's kind of hard to explain, so I want to try to clarify it. In the past, I've heard people on the show say that, let's say I believed in God, okay? And then I would say that, you know, I don't know. I know that God exists. I believe that God exists. Let's just say I believe that God exists.
Right.
But I don't know anything about God, and I don't know any of his traits or attributes. In the past, I've heard something on the show where, okay, you don't know enough about it, you don't know anything about God, then how can you believe something if you don't know it? If you you see what I'm saying? I've heard it's the kind of like the example where if somebody is just quoting a Bible verse because it doesn't reflect their ability to understand it, but they probably couldn't come up with that idea themselves. Something inspiring that they couldn't come up with themselves, but they're kind of quoting another source because it doesn't reflect their ability to understand it, but it just reflects an idea that they have. So in the same respect, they could believe in God, but their ability to know it, it's very hard to explain what I'm getting at, but
I should say that when people claim, hold on, stop, hold it for a minute. I should say that when people claim to know that there's a God, what they generally mean is, I really, really, really believe it, and nothing can change my mind. But that's not knowledge.
Now you're getting at what I'm trying to get at with the question. So if I say I believe that there is, I really, really believe that there are aliens, I still don't know it, but yet for some reason that's perfectly acceptable because the universe is so big, there's so many chances for aliens to exist. I still don't know that they do, but yet somehow when somebody says that they believe in God, they believe it almost to the point of knowing it to them. Somehow it's not acceptable, and that's the slight disparity of words that I'm trying to get at. That's the question.
Well, no, I mean,
well, my point is,
if you tell me that you really, really, really believe that aliens exist, my next question to you is the same as I would present to a theist who claimed that they really, really, really believe a God exists. You know, what's your evidence? On what do you base that belief?
See, it's that justified thing in justified true belief that matters.
Okay, I kind of see where you're getting at. I just hope that you kind of understand the approach I was taking to my question, which is a little difficult for me to nail down in words. But do you kind of understand what I was getting at with my question, at least?
I'm
if
not
we
really.
just answered it, then yes.
Okay.
But,
Yeah.
Okay, I understand. But basically, like, I could say that there's, somewhere in Andromeda Galaxy there's a life form there, but I don't know it. But I really believe it.
Well,
I mean,
then you don't know it.
Possibilities. So that's basically what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for your time.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks for calling.
Bye.
We got 2 calls that look very interesting, and I'm kind of undecided about whether to take 3 or 1. But I think.
Let's go to 3, because I think it deals with a common misconception.
All right. Scott, you win. Katie might have to get on after the show, unless you're quick.
I'm so excited.
All right.
Welcome.
Okay, well, here's kind of my question. I myself am an atheist. I was raised Lutheran, and so I've been dating a girl for the past, let's just say, long duration. And she herself is agnostic, with her father being an atheist as well, and her mother being, I don't really know. And so anyways, someday we plan on getting married.
Okay.
But this is where the issue comes up. How do you have something along the lines of a marriage or, any sort of ceremonial thing without kind of making a mockery of what is other people's belief? Because since I'm no longer really Lutheran, and it'd be kind of rude for me to go into a Lutheran church and have a marriage pretending to be that, do I just be like, well, I guess we'll have a ceremony out in the field? But even then, we're still bringing a priest and a pastor of some sort, right, to seal us with some pact with God.
Why?
No.
So what do you do?
Why would you assume that marriage has to have some kind of religious connotation?
Probably because I live in an area, because that's the only thing I know.
Oh,
So honestly,
well,
what
actually,
You want me to talk about my marriage?
Russell is in a position to talk to you about this.
I just got married
Okay.
in November, and we didn't have a priest. We had this guy. I mean, he was a pagan, but we kept the pagan stuff out of the ceremony. He's. I mean, you don't really need any kind of religious credentials to marry somebody. You just need basically a certificate from the state that says that that you have the power vested in you to do marriages. And we got to pick our own vows. We talked a lot about the universe and our place in it, and Carl Sagan quotes that my wife picked out. And we had this very silly Back to the Future themed play, which my family thought was hilarious, and her religious family did not. But it's your day, and you get to do what you want. I would Google around for celebrants or marriage officiants in your area to see what comes up, or network. Ask around.
Yeah, and I would also point out that Matt and Beth got married, and Aaron Ra was the officiant at their wedding.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've seen Aaron Ra, but he's a flaming atheist.
Yeah.
And he did the ceremony in like a trench coat, didn't he?
Yeah.
And shades.
Yeah, it was like an oil cloth.
And it was that Matt and Beth had a damn cool wedding.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the main reason why I asked is just because when you say the word marriage, I mean, most, if not all people, have the perception that it is a religious ceremony.
Well, then
And
you better
that's
start
wrong.
correcting them.
Yeah, that's wrong, actually,
no,
because
absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I do.
the church was actually late to the marriage business. Marriages were going on for, thousands of years before the church got involved.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, the church did not invent marriage, contrary to what
I'm
a lot of
terrible atheist.
religious people say.
Well, a lot of atheists think that. I mean, it's just one aspect where religion has managed to so thoroughly pervade their culture that even atheists get this wrong.
Okay.
I would check out, my favorite illustration of this is called the Tametsi Decree, Tametsi, which was, I think, in the 1500s, when the church said, from now on, we're the only game in town when it comes to marriage. I mean, there's actually like a church edict that said, nobody's allowed to recognize marriages that take place outside the church anymore. So
Wow.
check that out.
That really digged up a lot of stuff for nowadays, huh?
Yeah. Puts things in a different
Wow.
light, huh?
Okay. You know
Okay.
what? Cool. Thank you very much for the insight, and
Sure.
I really appreciate everything you guys do.
Yeah, good luck with your wedding and congratulations, man.
Well, you know what? It's a ways out, but you know what? Thank you for everything. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I saw that, Mark, like 30 minutes ago. Okay, so Katie, you get 5 minutes. No, 3 minutes. I'm sorry.
Awesome.
Stay on the line after the show because I'd love to keep hearing about what you're going to say.
Oh yeah, sure.
Who are you?
Well, I'm Katie. I'm an atheist. I'm currently studying abroad in Tokyo right now. I'm actually calling you from the future. It's 7:25 tomorrow morning for me.
All right.
But I just got back from part of my spring vacation in Korea, and like Japan obviously is one of the most secular nations in the world. They're really, really distrustful of organized religion over here, which kind of meshes with me quite well. But Korea, it's completely opposite. I had a preacher try to convert me on the train, very,
Wow.
very loudly. We were just standing on the train, and he was standing there in his tag-collared shirt, and then started asking me, he's like, "Do you believe in our Lord Jesus Christ?"
Wait,
And
so the train was between Tokyo and Korea?
no. I was out going shopping one day in Seoul, and this guy just started trying to convert me on the train.
Okay. So we can take comfort in knowing that there aren't just idiots in Texas.
No, and it was really funny because at first he asked me where I was from, and I said American. He was like, "Oh, you're very safe saying that you're from America. You're like a Roman citizen. You know, back in the olden days, the Roman citizens could say that they were from Rome and they had the protection of the empire. You're like."
Hello?
Hello? Oh, shoot.
Oh, darn.
Well, Katie has graciously hung up a minute and 30 seconds before the end of the show, which actually is just long enough to have a really awkward pause and not really long enough to get in one more caller. Or we could take David from Houston for like 30 seconds and then say goodbye. What's up, David?
Not much. Since I have 30 seconds, I'm going to be very quick. I find theists to be hilarious, and if I had the chance, I would probably get them all together and contract them out for children's parties. They're the most bizarre, and since you have a lot of experience in debating this issue, I was wondering if, as an atheist, there was one single absolute argument that an atheist can start with, quartering a theist, that they cannot possibly respond or argue about, and then I'll listen to your answer.
Okay. Jen?
Depends on what their claims are. You really
Yeah,
have to.
that's why we always start with what do you believe and why do you believe it, and then start picking apart logical fallacies.
Yeah.
There is no magic bullet. Anyway, that's our show. Thank you, everybody. Thanks to our great crew who have already flashed by on the screen, and see you in a week.